Hi, I'm Lisa Leiter. In Chicago Business Today, the Political Week in Review. Each week, I'll sit down with our political columnist, Greg Hines, to talk about the race to become Chicago's next mayor. This was a week that began with the official kickoff of the city's election season, with candidates filing their petitions to get on the ballot. I began by asking Greg about another talk of the town this week, Rahm Emanuel's residency. So Greg, a veteran election lawyer next week is expected to file an attempt to try to knock Rahm off the ballot. Is this just positioning here, or what do you think are his chances of success?
His chances of success, I think, are pretty good, partially because of the law and partially because of who he is. Not that people would ever decide cases in Chicago based on who you are politically. But there is a certain one election lawyer who's a friend of mine who I believe says that if it was anybody else, he thinks Rahm might have a problem. But there's an Alice in Wonderland quality to election law. So the honest answer is he's probably okay, but there are no guarantees here. As Carol Moseley Brown put it earlier in the week, this is politics, not beanbag.
Okay, so let's move on to some substance. It looks like Mr. Emanuel is not a fan of the mayor's privatization plans for Midway Airport. You got some word out of that Groupon meeting. The city is so cash-strapped right now. Is that a dangerous thing for him to be talking about?
Maybe. He's now taken a very big budget item off the table, and earlier he's appeared to take taxes off the table. But you've got a budget that's $600, $700 million out of whack every year. You've got to patch it up somehow. On the other hand, if you don't get to be mayor, you can't do any of that stuff. And there's no question that privatization right now, after the miserable experience we all had with the parking meters, is very unpopular among the typical Chicagoans.
Gary Chico talked a little bit about privatization this week too. You think he had a good week this week?
He's trying real hard right now at the moment. He's probably been about as active as any of the other candidates. There's a place for good creative stunts and attention getters in politics, and I give him some credit for being good at that so far.
Sure. Everyone filing their petition for all the citywide races. Earlier this week, you had written in your blog that the lack of aldermanic races might not be good for someone like Rahm Emanuel. Why? What's going on there?
There were 7 or 8 wards earlier in the week, anyhow, in which incumbent aldermen did not have any opponents. Most of those wards seem to kind of be in Mr. Emanuel's natural political base. Nothing turns out people to vote, even a mayoral, like an aldermanic race, because alderman is kind of the king of his little island or her island and is going to get everybody out to vote. If they don't turn out for the alderman because there's no aldermanic race, then they don't vote for Rahm.
Right, and of course, low turnout could end up being, a real problem for Rahm Emanuel if he's trying to get more than 50% of the vote, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's what this race really is coming down to. If for some reason somebody in the field collectively can hold him to short of 50%, then the person who's lucky enough to get in the runoff with him and it's one-on-one, that could be really interesting because the dynamic of ones-on-ones are much sharper. You get a chance to get your message out much clearer than you do in a close field, but somebody's got to do that, and whether or not that's going to happen now is the real question.
Okay, well, Greg, we'll catch up with you after Thanksgiving. Thanks so much. And that's this edition of Chicago Business Today. Be sure to check out Greg's blog at chicagobusiness.com. Thanks for watching. Have a great weekend. We'll see you back here on Monday.